Before you ignore another brown envelope from the DWP, please listen carefully. Because for thousands of UK pensioners, the real danger this August may not be a new tax, a new pension cut, or one dramatic announcement. The real danger is something quieter. A letter, a deadline, a savings rule, a payment review. And if you miss the warning signs, money could start disappearing from your pension, your benefit payment, or your monthly support before you fully understand what happened. This matters if you receive pension credit, housing benefit, PIP, state pension support, or if you help a parent, grandparent, neighbor, or elderly relative with their post. Because right now, three things are coming together: DWP overpayment recovery, new fraud and error checking powers, and changes around benefit reviews and reporting responsibilities. Separately, each one is confusing. Together, they create a serious risk for pensioners who do not open letters quickly, do not report changes, or do not challenge a decision in time. So let's break this down in plain English. No panic, no complicated legal language, just what you need to know and what you should do before it becomes expensive. First, let's talk about the brown envelope. Most people fear these letters because they do not know what they mean until they open them. Sometimes it is just routine, sometimes it is a request for information, but sometimes it is a decision letter saying you have been overpaid. That means the DWP believes you received more money than you were entitled to, and here is the painful part. It does not always mean you did something wrong. Sometimes a person reports a change properly, sometimes they call the office, sometimes they send the form. Sometimes they believe everything has been updated. But months later, sometimes years later, the system says too much was paid, and suddenly the pensioner is told they owe money back. Imagine a widow living on pension credit. She reports that her small private pension changed. She thinks it has been recorded. She continues receiving the same amount. She spends it on food, gas, electricity, council tax, prescriptions, and transport. Then one day a letter arrives saying she owes hundreds or even thousands. That is not just an administrative problem. That is a household crisis. And this is where the deadline matters. If you disagree with a DWP decision, you usually need to ask for a mandatory reconsideration within 1 month of the decision date. GOV. UK confirms that 1-month rule for challenging benefit decisions. That means you cannot put the letter in a drawer. You cannot leave it for when you feel ready. You cannot assume it will sort itself out. The clock starts ticking. So if an overpayment letter arrives, do 3 things. First, check the date on the letter. Second, ask how they calculated the amount. Third, if you think it is wrong, ask for a mandatory reconsideration. Do it quickly, and keep copies of everything. Because once deductions begin, the situation becomes harder. Not impossible, but harder. Now the second issue is bank checks. This is the part that has caused a lot of fear online. Some people think the DWP will be watching every cup of tea, every supermarket trip, every birthday present for the grandchildren. That is not accurate. The official position is that these powers are about helping verify benefit entitlement and identify incorrect payments, not giving DWP access to watch daily spending. But that does not mean pensioners should ignore it, because savings and capital can affect benefits. And many honest pensioners do not understand how quickly a small change can matter. For pension credit, savings of £10,000 or less do not normally affect the calculation. Above £10,000, the system treats every £500 as £1 a week of assumed income. So if your savings increase because of an inheritance, a pension lump sum, a house sale, compensation payment, or money moved from another account, you may need to report it. Even if you do not feel wealthy, even if the money is already planned for repairs, even if it only sits there temporarily, the danger is not just having savings. The danger is failing to report a change that the system later discovers, because then the DWP may calculate that you were paid too much. And we are back to overpayments, back to deductions, back to letters, back to deadlines. Now let's talk about P. PIP is not just extra money. For many disabled people and people with long-term health conditions, it is the difference between coping and falling behind. But PIP is also one of the most stressful benefits because reviews can make people feel like they have to prove their condition again and again. Government statistics say fixed-length PIP awards can vary widely, with review periods depending on individual needs and the likelihood of change. Here is the key point for viewers. If your condition has changed, you cannot assume the system already knows. If your health has become worse, your current award may no longer reflect what you need. If your condition has improved, you may be expected to report that too, and that is where people get trapped. Some people wait because they are scared of triggering a review. Some people say, "I'll deal with it later." Some people do not know what counts as a change, but later can become very expensive. If you are receiving PIP and your daily living or mobility needs have changed, get advice before you act, especially from Citizens Advice or a welfare rights advisor. Do not guess. Do not panic, but do not ignore it. Now let's bring this together. There are 3 questions every pensioner should ask this August. Question 1. Have I received any DWP letter that I have not fully understood? If yes, open it today, read the date, check whether it is a decision, check whether there is a deadline. Question 2. Have my savings, income, address, household, or circumstances changed? If yes, ask whether that change should be reported. This includes someone moving in, someone moving out, time abroad, new income, inheritance, pension lump sums, or savings rising. Question 3. Does my PIP still match my real condition? If your needs are worse, you may be missing support. If your needs are better, you may need to report it. Either way, do not leave it to chance. And here is the most important message of this whole video. The DWP system does not reward silence. It rewards records, dates, letters, proof, notes from phone calls, copies of forms, screenshots, bank statements, medical evidence. If you phone, write down the date, time, number, and name of the person you spoke to. If you send a letter, keep a copy. If you upload evidence, save confirmation. If you ask for reconsideration, keep proof. Because when something goes wrong, the person with records is in a much stronger position than the person who says, "I think I told them." Now, I want to be very clear. This is not about blaming pensioners. Most people are not trying to cheat the system. Most pensioners are simply trying to survive a system that is too complicated, too cold, and too slow to explain itself properly. But the system does not become easier just because someone is elderly. It still expects people to understand rules, deadlines, forms, and thresholds. That is why family members need to help. If your mom, dad, aunt, uncle, neighbor, or grandparent receives benefits, ask them one simple question. Have you had any letters from DWP recently? That one question could save them money. It could stop a missed deadline. It could prevent months of stress. So here's your action plan. Open every DWP letter immediately. Mark the deadline. Check whether the decision is correct. Report changes before they are discovered. Get help from Citizens Advice, a welfare rights advisor, or the relevant benefit office. And never assume that because a payment arrived, it must be correct. That is the hardest truth. A payment can be made by mistake. And if the system later decides it was wrong, it may ask for the money back. So protect yourself now, not after deductions start, not after the deadline passes, not after the brown envelope becomes a crisis. If this video helped you, please like it, subscribe, and share it with one pensioner or one family member today. Because the people most at risk are often the people least likely to see this warning in time, and sometimes one shared video can stop one very expensive mistake.